Good evening and welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Oguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican.
Happy New Year.
Stephen, the independent thinker. Keith, the constitutional conservative. And my cousin Todd. Happy New Year. 2024, January 3rd is here, and we are back live. Documents related to Jeffrey Epstein have just been released as different news organizations are combing through to see who had spent time with him and underage girls. House Speaker Mike Johnson makes disparaging remarks about President Biden during his visit to Texas today. Palestinian sources say Israeli drone kills Hamas deputy leader in Beirut, Lebanon. NFL Week 17, will your team make the playoffs and eventually go to the Super Bowl? We'll let Aguna talk about the Eagles. A CNN report says that Trump asks the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn a Colorado ruling removing him from the ballot. The CFP National Championship will take a look at Michigan versus Washington and talk about how Alabama didn't win. Saudi Arabia officially joins BRICS bloc. Multiple state capitals evacuated due to mass email bomb threats. The U.S. House Committee on Homeland Security is set to formally begin impeachment proceedings against the Biden administration Homeland Security chief over his border policies. Senator Menendez from New Jersey is charged with receiving gifts from Qatar and new allegations in corruption scheme. Claudine Gay resigns the presidency of Harvard University amid plagiarism allegations and more, if we can fit it in. First up, Aguna with the Eagles. Aguna.
Man, do I have to? Jesus Christ.
Yes,
okay, so the Eagles have gone in the last 4 games, they've won 1. They've lost 3 of the last 4. They lost 3 of the last 4 games, 2 of which to Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals, which were both teams that had weaker records. I mean, they split with Dallas. They beat Dallas earlier this year, and then they lost at home against Dallas away, in Texas. So now, last week, going into the game against the Arizona Cardinals, mind you, who was a 3-win team, Eagles controlled their own destiny. All they had to do was win against Arizona and the Giants, who they just beat at Christmas, and they would clinch the NFC East and potentially have the number 2 seed. Now, the reason why the number 2 seed is important, because right now they were fighting for the number 1 with San Francisco. And as a season ticket holder, I would have gotten playoffs tickets, because I at least get 1 home game. The number 2 seed would guarantee you, if you won that 1 home game, another one, and potentially the NFC Championship if San Francisco got the 1 seed and lost. So now the Eagles will probably most certainly be on the road in the playoffs. Now, that doesn't mean they're completely out of winning the East. Dallas has to lose to the Commanders, who they've already beaten, but Dallas is not a strong road team. The Commanders just aren't a really good team, but, it hopes to dream in a world where we can dream. Maybe they'll pull off the upset. They usually play the Cowboys pretty tough. But then the Eagles also have to beat the Giants, who they barely beat on Christmas. Giants actually came back in that game after the Eagles were up by 2 possessions. They came back, squeaked away at the end. They were up against Arizona. It was 20-6 at the half, and they couldn't pull it out in the end. In the pre-show, Steve and I were talking, and he challenged me to say, okay, what is the explanation for this? A 3-win team comes into your home stadium, which you had not. I mean, you lost to San Francisco, but that was the only other loss in that at home. The Eagles have only lost 3 games at home in the last 2 seasons. What could have possibly have gone wrong, or how can you explain the Eagles' defeat? I mean, what is the explanation for this? You got A.J. Brown, you got one of a high-scoring offense, you got Jalen Hurts, you got a great offensive line, you got, a decent defensive line. And the reason why is exactly that, the defense. All you got is the line. You don't have a secondary. It's a very young defense. You got a couple of rookies starting. I think they started Ringo. He's got his third or second start out of Georgia. So these guys, the defense just wasn't there. Arizona did not punt a single time this whole game. They threw a pick six. Kyler Murray threw a pick six, and they kicked 2 field goals. But other than that, they went down the field at will against the Eagles, who, we have great tackles. You still got Fletcher Cox in there. You got Jordan Davis. You got Carter. So you would think that they would be able to stop the run. They didn't. And the Arizona receivers, mind you, Marcus Brown, who is probably the best Cardinal receiver, wasn't even playing. They had these guys off the practice squad. These guys were bagging groceries a couple of months ago, going up and down the field on the Eagles like it was nothing. Now, the reason why is clear, and this is what my response to Stephen. So the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, was previously the Eagles' defensive coordinator. Got a lot of flack in Philly because they said we had a vanilla defense last year. And you saw during the Super Bowl, they couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes. And he wasn't really worried about winning the Super Bowl because he was worried about the job, this Arizona job. So he had something to prove coming in here. He knew the personnel. He knew our weaknesses. He knew everything. He knew that, hey, it's just a matter of time. You could dink and dunk these guys to death. They weren't playing press coverage or playing off. So it's all kind of nuances about the game that he knew that Sirianni and Brian Johnson and our D coordinator just didn't know and didn't adjust. And the quintessential changing point in the game was the Cardinals tried an onside kick. The Eagles recovered it inside Cardinal territory. The first down, they tried to run the ball. They got a penalty, a holding penalty. So now it's 1st and 20 inside the 40. So what do? They run the ball, right? They do 2 back-to-back quarterback draws with Jalen Hurts. You're trying to get your quarterback killed. Horrible play call. Then on 3rd down, 3rd and 20, it's 3rd and 16, what do? They do a screen pass to Gainwell, who gets our wide receiver got hurt on that same screen. So it was ridiculous play calling, horrible defense, right? Even though if your offense puts up 31 points, you should win that game, but the defense couldn't stop anybody. And now we're going into the offseason. Nobody in Philadelphia has confidence in this team, only themselves. It may be a good thing that these guys are going on the road or have to win on the road to get to the Super Bowl. They need to get away from Philly. They need to get out of Philadelphia. They need to be in these hostile environments where it's only them and each other, and they can just coalesce as a team and just go. If they're going to win, if it's meant to be, it will be. If they can, first they got to beat probably Tampa Bay in the wild card round. More than likely, if they win that game, they'll end up in Dallas, where the Cowboys haven't lost a game all year. So they have a chance to break that streak, prove themselves. And then more than likely after that, they'll go to San Francisco in the NFC Championship, which will be a revenge game for them. And it will be a great Rocky story if it's pulled off. But in my Negadelphian voice, and this is my last point, Stacy, I don't see them beating Tampa Bay. I don't see them beating Baker Mayfield. I don't see them going on the road and winning these 3 games on the road. I know that the Giants did it back in, I think, 2012. No, not 2012, but 2008 or something like that. The Giants did it.
Yeah.
I think Green Bay did it with Aaron Rodgers. He actually beat Philadelphia. He beat Michael Vick, and he went on the road and proceeded to win the Super Bowl that year. If Philadelphia happens to pull this off, it will be the most legendary run in Philadelphia's, not just Eagles history, not Sixers, Flyers, Phillies history. It will be the most prolific run in Philadelphia The only other thing to come out of Philadelphia other than this run would be the Constitution. Right?
Okay, so
telling
let's
you,
watch this video.
Here
Let's
we
watch
go.
this video. Let me put the sound on.
First down and 10. Sideline toss. Dortch again.
Look at
Makes the
that.
tackle. Greg Dortch cuts it back inside the 10. Down to the 5, and it's
Who is
first
that
and
guy?
goal.
Who is that guy? Dortch. Is he on your fantasy team?
On
Here
second
we
and
go.
goal. Connor again. Nose down. He's in for the Cardinal touchdown. Arizona takes the lead
James
with 32
Conner,
seconds
former
left.
Steeler running back. This guy ran straight through what used to be a good Eagles run defense. And so you saw in those two plays, you saw off coverage, you saw no heart, you saw there's nobody stepping up and making plays. For that guy, I don't even know his name. Nobody knew his name until last week.
Hey, Guna, when do you get Slay back? Is he coming back soon or is he gone? I don't know.
He's
He'll be
coming
back for the playoffs. He'll be back for the playoffs.
Who cares?
Yeah, you need Slay. You need Slay. That's what's hurting your defense right now.
He's really good, but he can only do but so much. But look at this. You have this bum Arizona Cardinals team.
Bum.
In 12. They won 4 games. Because look at this, Todd. Can you read, Todd? If you could read, Todd, you can see that they said they won 4 games and they lost 12 games. And they came to Philadelphia and they beat us.
So
they also beat the Cowboys. They beat the Cowboys at home. The Cowboys, there are a lot of Eagle fans that are holding out hope that the Commanders are going to beat the Cowboys this weekend.
Hey, Aguna, the Commodores are going to beat the Cowboys this weekend because Ron Rivera wants a new job, and he will be I don't know what the exact number is, but he'll be 51-49. He'll have a winning record in his whole career. So that's what he wants. That's why he's going to put Bassett in there. He's going to put everybody in there. He's going to try as hard as he can. And Dallas is going to sit back, rest on their laurels. They got nothing to play for. And the Skins have nothing to play for, but to play spoiler, but to help the coach get a new job. But we don't need that. We need a draft pick. We don't need to win this game. But this is what the Redskins do because we have horrible leadership all the time. We have Ron Rivera is a horrible coach, and he's just doing this to be selfish. And we will beat the Cowboys, but the silver lining is it will help the Eagles. And good on you. And then you'll be able to thank me, my team, for helping y'all. Because that's what's going to happen. Bet on it. Bet on the Redskins.
I'm standing
or
on
the Commodores.
Okay.
Huh?
If the Commodores or Redskins or whatever you want to call them,
the Commodores
pull out the upset against them, I will personally come on this show next week and thank you for that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. All right, we're cool. That's what I'm saying.
I will thank you from the bottom of my heart and I'll bar our viewers and listeners. But that ain't gonna happen. That ain't happening.
It's gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen. And even if by chance that the Commanders win that game, I have very little confidence that the Eagles will beat the Giants in the Meadowlands.
Hey, any given Sunday, man. Come on, you got to. You can't put that kind of negativity out there. Maybe you're the reason they've been losing lately because all of y'all Eagle fans are like so negative, and you make yourselves lose. You make it a reality. Speak positive, and then the players will hear you, and they will play positively.
If I had that kind of power, I would win the lottery without even.
You do. We all have that kind of power. Speak positivity, and then that will happen. Keep going things positive. If you say everything's negative with your team, even though you'll have a winning record and you're going to the playoffs, then it's all so negative on the team. You hurt your Philadelphia fans hurt their team by being so hard on them, even when they're winning.
Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy. I'm satisfied with the season. The season's been a good year. We've had 11 to 12 wins. A lot of teams would only dream about having that many wins. Sirianni, this is his third time making the playoffs. He's his third year as a coach. He's made the playoffs every year. He's gone to the division 1 year. He's gone to the Super Bowl with the conference. So I'm not like fire the coach. I'm not saying
I know.
tear down the team. I am saying that this team, where it is right now, is right there stuck in that neutral, mediocre mode where you're not as good to get over the hump, but you're not bad either. So you're in this limbo. And what fans tend to do when you're in this limbo is they complain about everything and it's doom and gloom. And it's just you try to set yourself up to be disappointed because you know the disappointment's coming, and you know that the team, if you start believing, you
Don't
start
know.
trying to say all that positive stuff, they're just gonna let you down.
It's like y'all are
Okay.
scared to believe. Y'all are scared to believe, or scared to get enthusiastic because of the pain it would cause. Because you're going to be so high in your emotions that you want to stay low. So if they do bad, then you don't have to feel it as much as when they lose.
That's exactly right, and we know.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we're in this limbo, and we're right there beside the Cowboys. The Cowboys are right there with us, and it's like you got to hear all those nonsensical, delusional Cowboy fans who think that their team's going to walk on water no matter what. And you know they're not a really good team, but you got to listen to them anyway because your team isn't beating them the way they should. This Eagles team has the same personnel as last year, different coordinators. I wonder what's changed. It's that go-get-itness that put them over the top. They won a lot of close games, but they also lost a couple close games to some bad teams. So you're like, okay, you're happy about the season, but you realize that, hey, you know what? We're not a good team. We're not playing good football. And we know that teams right now, late in December, going into the playoffs, they need to be focused in making this type of run. Now, I did see an interesting stat, and I'll go after. I saw an interesting stat where the 2012 Baltimore Ravens, they actually won in overtime, and then they proceeded to lose 3 of their last 4 games. And what did they do that year? That was the year that Flacco went and won the Super Bowl against San Francisco. So there are teams that can turn it on in the playoffs, that can go on the road and win and still pull things together. Now, granted, they probably clinched the division. They probably had some things in there that put them in a good place, but they weren't strong down the stretch. And somehow, some way, a light went on. They were able to turn it around. I don't necessarily see that in this Eagles team because I don't see a dog on this defense. I don't see somebody on this defense that has that edge that's going to say, you know what, let's go out here and let's hurt somebody. Let's hurt somebody and let's get this thing done. So we'll see what happens, Todd. I know.
But you're speaking of dog, Aguna, speaking of dog, wouldn't it be funny if Cleveland played Frisco in the Super Bowl and beat him again with Flacco? Flacco beat him twice with 2 different teams. That would be awesome.
That would be
just a throwaway quarterback is a 2-time winner,
Yeah, that would be interesting to beat a same team with 2 different.
Oh,
right.
Sorry.
That would be a lot of fun.
Sorry, Guna. I hit the wrong button. Todd had control over my hand, and I hit the wrong button.
Oh my gosh, you're not talking about.
All right. All right. So let's go on. I want to hear what the great Nick Saban had to say.
Here we go. Here we go, everybody. Listen, everybody. Come on. Here we go. Todd, it's Todd's moment. Let's go, Todd.
All I was going to say was you didn't give anybody else a chance because you hogged the whole segment. Good Lord. Keith, what did you want to say?
Todd, man, you missed your moment, Todd.
You're on mute, Keith. But I know what you're saying.
Something
I love Donald Trump.
You said something about black people.
I want to go back to football, watching football again, watching Michigan and, those Michigan boys.
What color were they?
Black. And they were black. And they took a knee. They bowed the knee to God Almighty. I love it.
They're all black.
Speaking of, let's hear what Nick Saban had to say.
Real hard. What ultimately made the difference today?
No, we didn't finish the last 4 minutes of the
game.
Nick. We had some opportunities to get them stopped on defense. We could have drove the ball down and scored a touchdown, and we just didn't finish the game. And we kind of got the momentum, and so we're all disappointed. Players are very disappointed. But I told the players, look, you had an amazing season. This team has come as far as any team as I've ever coached in terms of how they improved to put themselves in this position to win the SEC championship. So I don't think you can lose sight of that either.
I think because of what you just mentioned, it seems like you've really loved this team. What's your favorite thing about them?
Well, I just think that, when everybody buys into the principles and values of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to coach and what you're trying to teach, and everybody does that, I mean, it's really a good feeling, and it's special, and it doesn't happen all the time.
Okay, what are we watching here?
It certainly happened this year with this team, and there was a special chemistry,
watching
leadership, and everybody buying in, and it
A
was a lot of fun.
speech of after he lost.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the FTC just bowed out
Okay,
of the playoffs.
We
so
heard the
Keith,
words of a
because
loser.
he lost, Keith, that means that Michigan beat them, and I don't know what that was. Sorry, that was some sort of recording.
Oh,
I don't know what it
gosh.
was.
Who
So
cares?
because
What are we
Alabama,
doing?
we're
Stop
talking about
heckling Todd.
college football, Todd, because Alabama, as you can see here, Alabama lost to Michigan, as you can see. They will not play a certain game, but Keith wanted to talk about this Michigan team, right, Keith? What did
Well,
you, Michigan will play Washington, but what did you want to talk about the Michigan team in college football, Keith?
well, I pretty much already said it. I'm just, I don't follow it like I used to back in the 70s, the late 70s, and maybe early 80s, because of the fact that,
I was in kindergarten.
I don't follow sports and football because it's kind of moved so far away from our values and our American values. But when I saw that team, those black guys, and they had a couple of white, the quarterback, they were, yeah, they were all together, black and white, in a press conference, gave glory to God. They glorified
Wait,
God, and they said,
wait,
even prayed before the game. I thought that was awesome. And I said, man, that's what America is really all about.
Okay, but you said they got so far away from American
They've
values.
always done that.
No, I
They've
said
always
football,
done
sports has moved so far away. I mean, LeBron James just the other day brought his daughter into a game, college game. I guess I don't know if it was his son's game or what, but he goes in there and he doesn't stand for the pledge, and his daughter is there. What kind of an example is that for his daughter and his son?
Has he ever stood for the pledge? Have you watched him all his life? Have you seen everything he's done? Or is that just that one moment where you're paying attention to him?
I guess he has, but this time he did not.
Or Keith, do you know about how Michigan has been cheating and they got in trouble and the coach got suspended for cheating? Do you know anything about that?
No. What happened?
We talked about it on a previous show.
Yeah, and you weren't paying attention. And by the way, you're going to judge LeBron for not.
But that was Michigan State.
Whatever you're judging
No,
LeBron,
Michigan.
But you didn't comment on all the stuff he does in the community, all his camps that he does for people. Oh, they don't care about that because me, Keith, I watched one game and I see what he did, and now I'm judging him and he's unpatriotic. Never mind all the philanthropic things he does. We're judging him based on my perception, not reality. Good job.
Right.
No, we were talking
are
about
a Trump
Jim
supporter
Harbaugh.
through and through.
Jim Harbaugh.
Low information voter.
Whatever meets my narrative, I'm gonna talk about. Right?
Yeah.
I give glory where glory is due, and I'm just gonna praise God.
God of nature and nature's God.
That's right. You got it.
So what we were talking about, Stephen, there's two different teams in college football, Michigan and Michigan State. We talked about both. We talked about Mel Tucker, the former head coach of Michigan State, being fired because of sexual harassment charges that were lobbed against him. We talked about that. We also talked about Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, University of Michigan, and Jim Harbaugh, and how he was suspended. Do you remember the difference now?
I didn't hear what you said. You went out. I didn't hear you.
We were talking about two different.
I heard about the other guy. Tell me about.
We were talking about two different coaches. Michigan.
Tell me
State
about Michigan.
was fired.
What?
Michigan State coach was fired. The Michigan State coach was fired because
I understand that.
Of sexual harassment.
I don't care about that. Go on to the next. I didn't hear that part.
And then University of Michigan coach Harbaugh was suspended for a certain period of time.
That's what I said.
Lost to the University of Michigan, and Michigan plays Washington.
No, I said that's who I was. No, you're not correcting me because that's what I said. He got in trouble. I said he got in trouble.
Yes.
I said that. I didn't say he got kicked. I said he got suspended for a little while.
You're right. You were right. You said they were cheating. Right.
They were
Stacey got it
Aguna, how
wrong.
does he
Stacey
even
got
know?
it wrong.
I did
Stacey
get it
got it
wrong.
wrong,
She got
but
I
it
it's
did get it
mixed up with
okay
wrong.
the
because
other.
every year Stacey makes one mistake, and this is her mistake tonight. She won't make another mistake for the rest of the year. Carry on, Stacey.
I did not make a mistake. What I said, there was two different things going on with
He was
the
Right.
Michigan
clarifying the
And
head
story.
he
football
said he
coaches.
wasn't talking about the sexual assault.
Yeah, I
He
wasn't.
wasn't talking
Well,
about that.
my point was because I didn't make a mistake yet this year, because I will make one because I'm human. But my point was we had spoken of both of them previously, and Aguna agreed with me that we had spoken of both problems with the Michigan coaching this previous
But
2023
we
year.
didn't care about Michigan State. Nobody cares about Michigan State. Are they even in the
Had that
running?
fight last year and everything. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So
They
to
were
your
doing really
point,
well.
the bottom line of it, Keith, you didn't know about the program. You just saw something and you wanted to share it with us. Thank you, Keith. Now we'll move on.
Right. Now, let's move on. I want to move on to Harvard President Gay, and I know Todd wants to talk about
No,
this.
I don't.
Claudine Gay resigns the presidency of Harvard amid plagiarism allegations.
Is that her real name, or did she change her name to get more acceptance?
Yay.
Yeah, she changed her name to be more relevant.
Look
She
at
like
these Trump supporters. These
cares?
Trump supporters. You see how sick they are?
Well, I mean,
That
Harvard wasn't even a thing
care
or a
about the
target
name.
3 or 4
I
years
don't care
ago.
about a name.
What?
Marvin Gaye was one of my great singers.
Yeah, mine too. But I mean, to be like really in the political scene, you have to be really on that side.
Hey, excuse me. If you look at this, it shows you Claudine Gay resignation unlikely to end the showdown between conservatives and elite schools. The resignation of Harvard President Claudine Gay after new plagiarism claims closes her chapter in a storm that has dragged elite schools into bitter pre-election politics, according to CNNBusiness.com. Cousin Todd, I know you want to talk about that.
I just think it's a travesty that she had to come out. But this is the pressure people are putting on these presidents. For example, University of Penn. She resigned. And this is what's happening now with all of this. You talked about last week that anti-Semitism is on the rise in America. But what you also said was anti-Muslim, anti-gay, anti-women, anti-black. So all of that is on the uptick. So for these women to be dismissed from their jobs.
They weren't dismissed, they resigned.
Well, either leave or get fired. Surprise. To be pushed out like that is un-American, because they didn't use the exact words or the correct words to describe. And mind you, this woman is Black, so she knows about freedom of speech, which we had to deal with. And I just think these people are being railroaded, and it's unfair.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. Broseph, good evening and Happy New Year, Broseph.
Hey, Nas, what's up?
Happy New Year. I believe his name is Broseph, sir.
Yeah,
What's
he's
up, Brosis?
confused.
What's up, my Brosis?
All right. So, who wants
What
to
were you
comment
doing
next
with your
on
hands,
Claudine
Stephen?
Gay?
What were you doing with
Excuse
your
me.
hands?
We're going to move on.
I'm flailing.
You're not gonna
Can I
follow
comment
that.
on it? Can I comment on it?
Yes.
Yeah, just a second. Let me read this and comment on
Oh,
this.
well.
It says that her departure comes. I want you to comment on this in particular. About her plagiarism. They said that
Any excuse will
the
do.
Washington Free Beacon published new accusations, if you can see the screen, that she had lifted language she used in a paper 20 years ago from another professor. Go ahead, Aguna.
Yeah, so what you're seeing play out in grand fashion is just another, there's been this attack, and Todd touched on it when you talk about, it's always been this anti-intellectual sentiment in this country where they feel that the elites are going to these schools. They're doing all these types of, influencing our culture. So, you get this, you have this movement now from the far right to attack these institutions as part of this war of just culture war. And what you're now seeing is that coming to fruition as they're targeting these university presidents for, it started with the D&I issue with diversity and inclusion, where you're seeing, these institutions, in particular in Florida, getting ripped away of these inclusion and ERG programs and things like that because they're accusing things like reverse racism and all these other things.
Yeah, it is. It is racism.
There's no such thing as that. All right, so there's no such thing as reverse racism.
It's just racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism.
Before you go on your
I agree with you. I agree with you. No such thing as reverse racism. It's all racism.
How is it? There's no such thing as reverse racism. That's not even a word.
There's no such thing as reverse racism. It's just racism. We agree. Why do you keep saying it?
The bottom line of it is you're seeing this culture war play out against these Ivy League presidents, in which you're trying to accuse them of, not going along, or this is where you get into this rut of then the state starts influencing what we learn and how we learn in some of our curriculum and things like that. You're actually going backwards. You're actually starting to not foster the innovation and the freedom of speech and freedom of thought and freedom of ideas. It's actually anti-American to use the leverage of the bully pulpit in the legislative branch to go after them. Because at the end of the day, if you politicize our institutions, or particularly our universities, that actually you're creating this dynamic in which these young people who are learning are going to go against the state. So you're cultivating this, that exactly the opposite of what you think is going to happen. Yeah, you may have gotten her to resign. You may have influenced these donors not to push these ladies out. But what's going to end up happening is you're going to have another generation coming up, college educated, white and black, that are going to be anti-far right. They're not going to be as.
Why did she resign, Aguna? Why did she resign?
Conservatism.
Why did she resign?
And that's not good.
Why did she resign?
Excuse me.
Some political hearing that she shouldn't have even been a part of. Why are we
dragging? I'm going to play it right now.
And politicizing?
No, I'm going to play it right now.
Nobody's politicizing anything.
Right now. I'm going to play it right now. I'm going to play it right now.
All right.
She would not condemn the genocide of the Jewish people.
That's not true.
Listen to this.
Bull crap. You're not true.
We're going to listen
to it. Shut up.
We'll listen to it.
Stephen, let's listen to it.
Go ahead.
Felt the bonds of our community strain.
I think it's sad. I think it's sad because I think she was trying to give a fair picture.
What is this?
When she
shut up.
Who cares what this woman said?
Shut up.
Let's hear what the woman said. Who's talking? What is this garbage?
Shut up.
She was saying. And I think they probably bullied her out, really.
Oh, they bullied her. Who cares what that woman said? I want to hear what that woman says.
And
waste of time.
Shut your mouth.
It's not a good.
No, you shut your mouth. Waste of time.
Speech.
Stephen, she said there were good people.
And I don't think she's prejudiced.
I don't care who this woman is. Who is this woman? Let's ask a woman from that just came out of the deli.
That was over his head.
Okay.
She's got bagel in her teeth.
Shut up.
She said there are good people on both sides.
Who cares what she says, man? This is the dopiest thing I've ever seen in my life, and that's the best word I could use.
Right over his
Bunch
head.
of garbage.
Excuse me. I was trying to find her testimony where she didn't say it was less than a minute, because I know we don't have like 4 and 20 minutes to spend listening to her testimony. So what I was doing was trying to find something that was short
great.
So you could hear it. But you kind of
we heard some white Jewish woman, 80 years old, talk about how good that bagel was.
That's anti-Semitic.
No, it's not. It was the damn truth. I didn't. I'm not the one that. I'm not the one that put that woman on TV. Y'all did.
I'm gonna condemn you, Stephen. I'm gonna
condemn me. Condemn me all you want. You know what? She had an everything bagel, so she might not have been Jewish. Jewish people don't do an everything bagel. That's sacrilegious.
Okay. That's dumb. Wait a minute. Let's hear.
Stop it, man. You're digging a hole for yourself. Go back to your basement.
You find it?
Okay, let's play
Say
this,
no
and then
to
I want
Yeah,
Keith
drugs.
play
to
when she said
respond.
she would not condemn
Shut up.
genocide
Now
of
what you
Jewish
said.
people. Play that part.
Shut up.
Okay, here we go.
He got some bass in his voice now, man. Go ahead.
Here we go. Listen to this.
Gay is resigning, writing in a statement, "It has become clear that it is in the best interests of Harvard for me to resign so that our community can navigate this moment of extraordinary challenge with a focus on the institution rather than any individual." Her decision coming after allegations of plagiarism within her work and scrutiny from what some have called a disastrous testimony in Congress over handling of anti-Semitism on campus. Last month, Gay and the leaders of UPenn and MIT were grilled over whether anti-Semitic protests calling for the genocide of Jewish people would be considered a violation under the school's student code of conduct.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
Gay later apologized for what she called poor wording in her testimony. Gay becomes the second president to step down since the war in the Middle East started. UPenn President Liz McGill resigned just days after the presidents testified in Congress. Gay was the first person of color and first Black woman to serve as president of America's oldest institution of higher learning, but her tenure was also the shortest, just 6 months. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Good riddance.
Okay.
So did she said she
Keith,
wouldn't condemn it?
I wanted Keith to respond. Excuse me.
Wait.
To respond. No.
You heard the words.
Let me get Keith in. I wanted Keith to
What do you want to finish out what you were just talking about? You played it for him, for Stephen. So
Right.
now, Stephen, she said it could meet the requirements if it was
depending on the context.
exactly.
No. If they said exterminate every Black person, that's all it would take. It wouldn't be no context.
No,
it doesn't. There's no context. There's no context. Hey, you know what, guys? She didn't step down because she's in the right. She stepped down because she's in the wrong. And for y'all to still be defending her, it's mean to me. You don't know the difference between right and wrong. Y'all don't know the difference.
Make more money stepping
It's
down.
obvious. If she was right, she would have stayed there.
You already said
Okay,
that.
Keith,
not true.
let me have Keith.
It is true.
Keith, should she have remained
Sure it
in
is.
her position, considering the fact that she was the first African American woman to take that position, and she had only been in for 6 months? Keith, and then I want Broseph. Go ahead, Keith.
No, she.
Pull out the
No,
Constitution.
everything worked out just fine. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to. She was definitely denying. She was denying that a direct answer, yes or no. She should have said yes to the lady. Had nothing to do with context. Had nothing to do with really plagiarism. Was just another excuse.
Now,
So
if I could,
It's a whole different
give
topic.
them,
Black woman
That's a different topic.
was supposed to be. A Black woman. To be elevated to
Can you
that
imagine?
level, to be elevated to president of Harvard, one of the best in the past, one of the
how would
best.
you know it's
Ivy
the
League
best?
schools in the
I'm going to
country.
move on.
They
I
get
wanna talk
so much.
about-
They get so much
Your
Islamic
word.
money. They can't be pro-Jewish.
Goes
I
out.
want to talk
Okay,
about.
thank you. You guys can't
Great.
talk
Right,
over
it can
everybody.
be. So she said
You
yes,
can't-
it can be,
You can't
depending
talk
on the
over
context.
everybody. You have to
Yes.
stop. Thank you, Keith.
Yes,
Broseph.
yes.
It can be depending on the context.
Broseph.
Yeah, I mean, this is
There are
simple.
good people on both sides.
This is simple. Like when we're dealing with these issues, again, most of the time when the right starts these smear campaigns and these weird little maneuvers, usually it's an admittance of what they actually want to do. So all the cancel culture talk, and what you see is who actually wants cancel culture. So, sorry that this happened to that lady, the president. You could do this at many universities, run all of their scholastic work through AI and try to find as many mistakes as you can, and then try to treat those mistakes as if that's the reason you're moving her out. And the reality of it is, she was a good friend to the establishment, meaning the donors to Harvard and the Board of Regents there. She was an establishment person. That's why she had the job. When the Black Student Union came to her about the harassment and racism they were facing, she is the one who didn't back them up. When the Muslim students came and said they were being harassed, she's the one who didn't back them up. Matter of fact, she started a what do you call it? She started a program to stop anti-Semitism on campus. She put together the funds and got the scholars in there, didn't include scholars from the left, as you would well guess. And that's who she is. So she's an establishment person, but when the money starts talking, they'll throw you overboard. So I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm using Bluetooth.
Right. Yeah. See, exactly.
Faces,
so they don't know she was an ally
We
of
can
the
hear
right.
you clearly,
They got rid
Joseph.
of.
Thank you very much.
She was an ally of the right.
I got to move on.
Yeah,
I got to
yeah, she
move on.
was.
Yesterday, Saudi
but
Arabia.
one last thing, Stacey. It's funny because Keith and Stephen saw who she was and automatically assumed, oh, she's a leftist, she's this, she's all that. No, she was actually, I mean, there are a lot of people, especially on the left, that are applauding her resignation because she wasn't an ally. So you guys got to do your research and really look at who she was and what she was talking about before you jump. That's basically
She could not condemn the genocide of the Jewish people, Aguna. She could not say yes or no. There's nothing you're saying tonight, you or anybody on this panel, that Keith and I will agree with. You're not a king. You're not a king. Hey, Aguna, you're not a king. Jesus Christ is king. You're not a king.
Please don't be jealous. You're jealous. You're jealous. You're jealous.
Just even.
I'm not jealous.
Hold on, man. Before y'all do this,
I'm happy.
Before y'all do this back and forth. Even the questioning was disingenuous. It was a way of trying to trap somebody into something.
No, it was not. They said they said from the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. That means genocide of the Jewish people. And they told that woman who knows that means the genocide of the Jewish people. And these presidents of these Ivy schools could not condemn it. So they had to quit. And all of your morons on this show can admit that you're wrong. If you were not wrong, then these bitches wouldn't be quitting. You're just stupid. Y'all are stupid. This is the stupidest argument I've ever been in. If they wouldn't be quitting, if they weren't.
What's the purpose of doing a show? Like this ignorant trailer trash. He interrupts everybody. He keeps talking. Like it makes no point.
You're
like,
my kids are in the room.
Stephen,
I'm
you have
right.
to stop for a minute. Stephen, it's
now.
okay. Stephen, it's okay if you think you're right, but you can't talk over everyone, and you have to stop. You can say your opinion. We want to hear your opinion, Stephen, but you can't just talk over and holler over everyone, okay? So you just want to have to stop, okay?
And he cannot call those professors what he called them.
This is the first one of the new year.
He can call people whatever he wants to call them. That's his right. That's called freedom of speech, cousin Todd.
Freedom of speech, Stephen.
Well, that same freedom of speech is why Mark Furman said he wishes all the niggers can gather all the niggers together and burn them.
What just happened to
freedom of speech?
What just happened to Stephen?
He just knocked the chair down and he walked away.
Of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Our viewers
on his way over to Stacey's house.
The first meltdown of the year. Oh my God, this is so wonderful.
He's either going to Stacey's house or to Keith's house to kill him.
All of y'all are so stupid. Y'all think everybody else is stupid. We're not stupid. Keith, are you stupid? No.
Yes, ma'am.
We're not stupid.
Ma'am.
So when these these presidents are quitting, that means they did something wrong.
Hey, your voice cracking.
Hey, the more you talk, Stephen, even in the new year, the dumber we
I'm
get.
sorry, we're running out of time, but I've got to move on.
I just wanted to make a simple point, and this person started doing that again, disrupting everybody, man. Like
it's a new year.
How do you have a conversation with that? Like
you can't. You just gotta laugh.
Ignorant child.
You can't. And look at Keith loves to laugh at Stephen.
He's the useful idiot on the show.
And he uses
He's a useful idiot, man. This is bad.
But you're wrong. You're wrong, and I'm the idiot. You're wrong, but I'm the idiot. How can I be the idiot when I'm right? How can I be the idiot when I'm right?
Okay, Stephen, I've got to move on. Thank you. This is BRICS and Saudi Arabia and other countries. Please listen and watch this for educational purposes only.
Emerging economies is growing. Speaking in Johannesburg, President Cyril Ramaphosa, the current BRICS chair, announced a consensus on the latest expansion. Formed in 2009 by Brazil, Russia, India, and China, South Africa joined a year later. The 6 new members,
Saudi Arabia,
Argentina,
too.
Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia,
Saudi
and
Arabia.
United Arab Emirates, will officially join on the 1st of January 2024. The move is aimed at giving more clout to the bloc, which has pledged to champion the global south. Brazil's president said it confirms the group's growing relevance.
The BRICS GDP has now risen to 35% of global GDP at purchasing power parity, and member countries account for 46% of the world population.
The leader of the world's second biggest economy, China, said it shows the bloc's commitment to working with developing countries.
These new members provide a new starting point for BRICS cooperation and inject new impetus into the BRICS cooperation mechanism.
The incoming members hailed their inclusion as historic. The new look BRICS is a motley mix of big and small economies and democratic and authoritarian states, and it underscores a conviction of strength in diversity in the face of a Western-dominated global system.
Never leave your wife in bed without reaching the final moments again. This is
You hear that, Stephen? That's that
All
last
right,
part.
sorry, I don't know what that was about. That was
Never leave your wife in bed.
All right. So anyway, Broseph, can you talk to, and then I want Keith, Broseph, I want you to talk to the significance of BRICS and the significance of Saudi Arabia officially joining BRICS. And they said they have 45% of the world's population within their consortium.
Buying power.
Yeah, this is about, the world changing right before our eyes. We've lived under a superpower world since the end of World War II, basically. Since the end of the Cold War, USSR, the fall of the USSR, and that appears to be going away to where there's not going to be one singular superpower anymore. You're going to have spheres of influence from all of the major countries, and they're going to operate in a fashion that benefits themselves. So the old stories of colonialism and how things worked as far as the system for the West will be changed, and the West is going to have to adapt. And this is a beautiful thing for the world, honestly, because too much concentrated power has led to a lot of bad things. And seeing a more free world, a more equal world, it's actually a beautiful thing. So no, I have no problem with this. This is good. And
Not
hopefully we
necessarily
see the
free.
progress soon.
Not necessarily free, but it's
Not
going to be
free.
a lot more global influence, like you
Well,
said.
you think people here are free. So when we start
No, I
talking about
don't.
freedom,
I actually do.
we can get into
I actually don't. I actually don't think people
So
are
you
free.
get where I'm
but
coming
I do
from.
think you may prosper under authoritarianism more so than you do under democracy. That's what's going to happen in the new world order. That's what you're seeing, right? You look at the countries in there. Look at United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. These are countries. It's all about the money. If you go to the Emirates, it's ruled by 7 families. They decide over a family dinner what the laws of the country is going to be, and it works out for them as long as you're a citizen. But what you're seeing right here, especially as we argue in this country over raising our credit limit and all these other things, where we're destroying each other, we're destroying the U.S. from within, the economy from within. You're going to see other avenues in which countries are going to coalesce around currency, around economics, around influence, around resources, and America is going to get slowly pushed out. Now, I do think companies in this country are going to figure out ways to make money, because that's how the free market works. They're going to find ways to make money, even in downturns, even if the dollar is being
it'll just be a
devalued.
smaller pie, Aguna. They'll still have the West will still have a huge pie. It'll just be a smaller pie because there are more people
What does
who are
this
going to have
mean?
access.
So I would like to know, what does this mean, Todd or Aguna or anyone on the panel? What does this mean for the average African American female teacher in the New York City school district?
That means go to Dubai and get a job. Go overseas and work, because the U.S. passport will get you 6-figure jobs in all these countries, because they're emerging economies and they're emerging opportunities for growth and development. You'll have more of a global perspective. And you can leave the yahoos here arguing over nonsense and trying to kick out teachers from institutions and all this other stuff. You go overseas
for
and just
teaching critical race theory. But then my question is this, in Saudi Arabia, women can teach women, men teach
Right.
men. You don't have the same type
Right, and
of
you teach, and they tell you what to teach. You can't.
Exactly.
But
hold
on.
That's a little different.
There's
But
ways
you'll
to
make
have
You
money.
don't care about
relationships.
freedom, though, do y'all? Anybody don't care about freedom and rights for everybody, do you? No, you really
Only
don't.
thing is free money
Well,
creates
hold
freedom.
on, Aguda. There are ways to have relationships with countries, even though you don't agree on how life's supposed to be lived, civics, government, anything else. There's still ways you can have relationships with them. We do it right now. Our relationship with Saudi Arabia, which is a special relationship, despite the fact that they're a monarchy, despite the fact that they're authoritarian, despite the fact that they do, death penalty for minor things. Like, they have a totally different culture. That doesn't mean that we don't trade with them and we don't do this oil business with them. So no, it's not different for anybody else in the world. So these relationships will be fostered. And to your teacher point, as Aguna said, the teacher should be teaching those children to be global citizens. Give them a second or third
Global
language.
citizens.
Go
Global
overseas, have a
citizens.
housekeeper, have a
They'll
housekeeper,
fall.
a driver.
They won't
Global
survive.
So let
citizens.
me move on.
All for $100 a month.
Won't survive. They'll fall.
I want to know what this looks like. I want
You're
someone to
falling
tell
around.
me and tell our audience what this BRICS consortium looks like to Americans in 25 years.
In 25 years, these countries will, I guess you could say, still be growing, especially talking about the continent of Africa. Largest amount of people under 25 connected to the internet, biggest population boom. India, same thing. China, same thing. These countries are going to grow. We're going to see some vast improvements over there. Here in the West, the problem we have, especially in America, you can include Europe in this, the specific problem of race is something that, since we won't solve it and we keep kicking the can down the road,
There's no problem of race.
that's going to be a problem that kind of defeats us from the inside.
There's no problem
if we
of
don't
race,
solve
but
it.
for what you say.
Hey, baboon! I'm not talking to you.
There's
I'm
no
talking
problem
to
of
you.
race. Can you call me a baboon?
I'm talking
There's
to
no
humans,
problem of
baboon.
race. You hate yourself. I don't hate
I'm
myself.
talking to
So
humans, baboon.
yeah,
So
you hate yourself. I understand that.
I'm talking to humans, baboon.
Most of the illegal
I know
immigrants.
you hate yourself. I understand that, and you hate your
No,
creator.
excuse me.
You hate your creator. You hate yourself.
We were
I feel sorry. I
having a
feel sorry
normal
for you.
conversation.
I feel sorry for you, son.
This
I feel
red-faced
sorry for you,
buffoon
son.
started all this again.
Excuse me.
I feel sorry for you. You need to find
Show?
yourself, son.
Can we get back to the conversation?
Yeah,
Show your
please. I want
face,
to get back
son.
to it.
Point of him being on the show.
All right, excuse me.
You're a
Okay,
coward.
can you finish
The
up, please,
dangers
right
of
now?
sun directly on your
Let me
face.
just say this.
Like, is that why he's here? Like,
This is
what's
the
the point
future
of
of
him?
our
No.
country.
United
He
Nations.
represents the
No
future of our
respect.
Nations.
You
I'm a
a
little
hoe.
surprised that Argentina joined them. It seemed like they just elected a more conservative president. But nevertheless, I think that this United Nations will
I
fall.
don't think he knows what
Conservative president got to do with
conservative means.
Nations will
Because that
fall
dude is
because they
far
are
from a
moving away
conservative.
from the natural law. They move
doesn't
away
know who the
from further
Argentinian-
away from God's law. God is king.
Narco-capitalist.
The
Like, he's like
king
a
will rule, and they will
libertarian on
fall.
steroids.
You just watch.
Nobody
All
touch his mic.
will fall. You just
What are
watch.
you talking
They
about?
will.
Shut your mic,
Nobody
red
shuts
face.
that little bitch up.
He means
Nobody
me.
shut your mic up,
We'll
red
stand
face.
alone.
Nobody shuts that little bitch up. You're the one talking the whole time. Why don't you shut up?
You the one
Shut up
talking.
and let Keith
Hold
talk.
on, guys.
Shut up
I
and let
haven't,
Keith talk.
I haven't had a
Keith, who are you
Okay,
talking about
excuse
falling?
me. Excuse
Who's gonna
me.
fall?
I'm gonna quiet everybody down. We're
I
gonna move on. Thank you very
I
much.
was trying to
haven't
understand
never
Keith's
talked.
point.
See,
Homeland Security Chief impeachment is
They will
pending.
fall. I don't know who he's talking about.
I want to play this video for educational purposes. Let me share my screen, and then we'll start with Keith commenting on this Homeland Security and immigration problem that we are encountering right now.
Lawmakers led by Speaker Mike Johnson is in Texas today, criticizing President Joe Biden's immigration policies and change amid strain along the U.S. southern border.
Laura Geary tells us how the White House is pushing back.
The Speaker of the House speaking out from the southern border Wednesday. He and a delegation of over 60 GOP lawmakers traveled to Eagle Pass, Texas, a major crossing point for migrants hoping for entry into the U.S. In a statement Wednesday, the White House says that Republicans' consistent refusal to vote for the president's border funding year after year is hamstringing border security. War aid tied to Ukraine and Israel in the president's current funding proposal is one of several issues further fueling the congressional stalemate that may only worsen the migrant crisis.
We will not have the resources to perform our jobs as fully and completely as we could do so.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas now facing an additional challenge with Republicans, with House GOP members announcing they'll move forward with impeachment proceedings against him in the coming weeks.
If Republicans were serious, instead of trying to put together these, impeachment sham hearings and what have you, that they would actually sit down with Democrats and come up with a comprehensive plan to really deal with immigration.
We need to focus on what we can get accomplished in this deal and not what we can get accomplished in a political commercial 10 months from now.
I'm Laura Aguirre for WDRB News.
Okay. So, Keith, I said I was going to start with you talking about immigration and the fact that actually, Keith, actually, the U.S. Justice Department is threatening to sue the state of Texas for allowing their regular police officers instead of federal officers to arrest illegal immigrants. So do you want to talk to Speaker Johnson's visit today and the Texas law that the United States government is seeking to change?
Well, the Texas law is good. I mean, it'll probably have a little problem, though. It is supposed to be a federal job. It's a federal duty, but the feds are not doing it. Simple as that. And it's not going to be done under this administration. So what we need to do is, I wouldn't worry so much about impeaching him, but what we need to do is impeach him. The American people need to impeach him in November. And that's the best thing of this year that I look forward to, is that Trump will win in November. And they're trying to stop him as much as they can. And yet they will not succeed because God is on their side.
Who is they?
So I also want to make a comment that the gentlemen who are so upset every time Stephen interrupts them do the same thing to me. So thank you, Stephen.
We should stop interrupting you. You're right. We should
We
stop
didn't even.
interrupting you.
Did we interrupt you just now?
That
we interrupt you just now?
Yeah, we should stop
Here's a
interrupting
perfect
you.
example of what I'm saying, because I never got a chance to comment on the last issue we were talking about. But I will say this real
We
quick.
know you were just going to say Constitution,
the
conservative,
UN,
and
Now
Donald
we
Trump.
become a nation of
There we go.
whiners.
Okay, excuse me, one at a time.
The UN is destined for destruction. They will not survive. The UN will not survive. I'm guarantee you that.
What's that got to do with immigration?
What are you talking about? You talking about BRICS?
I'm talking
We're
about
talking about immigration.
BRICS. BRICS, UN, same thing.
Is
Same
not
thing.
What they want to do is they want to
It's
stop
not the
all
same
oil
thing.
production, stop all fossil fuels production, and they're uniting together to do that. Thanks to
Point.
No,
At a
it's
certain point,
not.
we
That's
do have
not
to
the
just.
same thing.
So
Read a book.
that is not going to happen.
Know what he's
It's
talking
not
about.
OPEC.
Keep going.
It's not OPEC.
Okay.
It's not the UN. Know what you're talking
All right.
about.
Yes, it is.
Jesus Christ.
So
Yes,
is
it
okay.
The UN's gonna
Okay,
fall.
Todd.
Yes,
Excuse
it
me,
is.
Todd. Let me
You're
bring Todd in.
confused.
Todd is
We got to make sure that
is
these guys
Speaker
read.
of the House.
They know what they're
Excuse me,
talking about.
Todd. Is Speaker of the
Yes.
House Mike Johnson correct in saying that President Biden has a catastrophe at the border going on right now, and that the Homeland Security Secretary should be impeached?
Yes.
There's chaos at the border because Republicans want it to be chaos at the border because they know people like Keith and Stephen thrive on this. So they can say, see, look at the border. Mind you, they're saying, help us fund this so we can put more people at the border. And they say, oh no, we're not doing anything. We're going to let you swing.
And most people coming over the border are not white. I just want to say that. They're not European. Okay.
Why the hell would they be?
Who cares? Who cares, Keith?
Why would they be?
What matters is they want what they want at the border
Okay,
is
excuse me.
more.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Instead
Thank
of
you.
the dumbest
Thank
man
you.
in America.
Finish. Can you finish your point, Todd? And I got to move on to
So this
Stephen.
is what Republicans want because they know they have low information voters like Keith and Stephen, and they keep pointing to the seat. Look at them coming over here. and I have said, and I will say it again, if you are white living in America, then you, not the Mexicans, are the invaders. Just
Oh,
ask the natives.
that's brilliant.
What are you talking
Oh,
about,
you're
man?
welcome.
My family were brought here. What do you mean we were invaders?
Look, here comes Uncle Ruckus.
What black
No,
person
This is
in-
when we get to the white man's heaven. Let's listen.
no, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm not talking about you.
Why don't we give the country away? Why don't we
Ma'am,
give the country away
ma'am,
and Todd, people like you and
ma'am.
I can be imprisoned or killed? Why don't we give the
Ma'am,
country away? Then all of us
listen,
can be killed or
ma'am,
imprisoned. Would that make you feel
listen
better?
up. Ma'am,
It's
I'm not
retarded, man.
talking about you. You're not even human. So
Clarify.
nobody includes you.
Clarify, please.
Okay,
I'm
I gotta
only
move
Let's
on.
give
talking
up our
about
country and let other people take us
Caucasian,
over.
European, not you.
You know,
Your
all
country.
the
You don't like. You don't
I
like.
gotta
it.
move on.
that were brought here.
You don't like it. You don't like being
Stephen.
here, Stephen. You already said it.
Invaded. Okay, well,
Leave
whatever.
it, buddy. Get out.
We're not
You
going to
don't
have
work
that.
in here, get out. And Stacy, I'm a man. I don't care, Stacy. I'm a man.
See, there they go.
Aguna is terrible.
You guys are
Todd,
just
you egg Aguna
man.
on.
I do not.
Yes, you do. And then you say Aguna is terrible after you egg
No,
him
because
on.
he just thought of that and said it.
The worst border crisis we've ever had is on purpose. This is what they want to have to us. They want
Yes,
this
that's what I
invasion.
said.
They want
That's
this
exactly
invasion.
what I just said.
Exactly.
Republicans want it.
The Republicans don't want it. How
Yes,
does
they
that make
do.
any
They're
sense? You know what?
making money off of
There
it.
are
They're
some
making money
Republicans
off
that
of it.
want it because you know what? There are dirty ass Republicans and dirty ass Democrats. And that's why I am an independent. And I'd say everybody else become an independent and go with your heart, go with your soul, go with you know what's right. Don't go with what your Democrats who enslaved you all your life tells you what to do. Don't go with them. Go with your own mind. That's why I'm an independent thinker. And that's why y'all can't beat me because y'all are stuck in a cage and my ass is free range. I'm free range and your chicken asses are stuck in a cage. You can't think for yourself.
This is
I
a
feel
family
sorry
show.
for y'all. I feel
This is a
sorry
family
for y'all. I
show.
used to be like you, but I broke out of the chains. I broke the chains.
Steven,
Break the
this is a
chains, my
family
brothers.
show. This is a
Break
family
the
show.
chains. Get out of slavery. You speak like slaves. You think you got it made, but the only thing you're doing is celebrating your own demise. You're celebrating your own demise.
Like
Y'all
being
make
on
me
the show with the
sick.
first grader.
We could defeat these people that are trying to enslave us still, but you won't.
Okay.
You will
President
not.
Trump,
Y'all are pathetic.
former
Y'all are
President
not
Trump.
men. You are
Excuse
not
me.
Why are
men.
you attacking us?
Keith, you're a man.
Former President Trump
Stephen,
is
you
asking the
Oh,
Supreme
man.
Court to review the Colorado election ruling. Let's listen to this.
Make sure Stephen takes his meds before the show.
I'm Nick Riccardi, a national political reporter for the Associated Press based in Denver, Colorado. And former President Donald Trump appealed two rulings in Colorado and Maine that he's not eligible to run for president in 2024. He appealed the Colorado decision by that state Supreme Court to the U.S. Supreme Court, and that's the most significant of the two appeals. That means that the question of whether or not a once obscure clause in the 14th Amendment that says if you've engaged in insurrection, you can't hold office, the question of whether that applies to Trump is going to be settled by the U.S. Supreme Court. And he also appealed a ruling by Maine's Democratic Secretary of State that he can't be on the ballot because of that insurrection clause. He appealed that to Maine's state court system. That's going to kind of go through Maine's state court system, but it's likely that the U.S. Supreme Court will basically settle this question once and for all in Colorado, in Maine, and the other 48 states. The appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court is especially significant because the nation's highest court has never before ruled in a case involving Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. That's a Civil War era provision that says that if you swore an oath to support the Constitution and then engaged in insurrection, you no longer are qualified for office. There's been months of litigation over it, and the Colorado Supreme Court was the first court in the nation to rule, yes, it actually does bar Trump from the ballot. That was a 4-3 decision that was handed down on December 19th. A little more than a week later, Maine's Secretary of State basically followed their lead and said, that's right, he can't run for office. I'm not going to put him on the ballot. Now, it's important to note that both in Maine and Colorado, he is still on the ballot. Both of those entities, both the Colorado Supreme Court and the Maine Secretary of State, stayed their decisions, recognizing that it's the U.S. Supreme Court that's going to have the final word on this. Nobody knows precisely when the Supreme Court is going to rule. They could do it very quickly, or they could wait until the end of their term, theoretically, on June 30th. But whatever they do, it's going to be of enormous consequence. As we've talked about before, a number of the strongest, most vocal proponents of this Section 3 solution to Trump are actually very prominent legal conservatives from the school of what's called originalism, saying that you have to just go by the words of the Constitution. They argue, hey, the plain text of the Constitution says people engaged in insurrection like Trump can't hold office again, therefore he's barred. And so that potentially puts some of the court's originalist justices who were appointed by Republicans, including Trump, in a tricky situation.
She might as well have spoken as she had as much clout as he did. That little girl.
Shut up, redneck.
Redneck.
Okay.
Some dumbass.
Okay.
Calm down. It's a new year.
Shut up, dumbass. You call me a redneck, I call him a dumbass.
Cousin Todd, you have to unmute yourself. Do you want to comment on the findings of? Wait a minute, Aguna. Todd, do you want to comment on the findings of the Trump? I mean, on the Trump appeal for Maine and Colorado to have him on the ballot, even though he really still is on the ballot.
Yeah, he's going to be on the ballot, and the Supreme Court is not going to rule until June. Of course, they're going to drag their feet, but I don't think they'll vote in favor of him. Amy Coney Barrett, I don't think will vote in favor of Trump staying on the ballot because there was an insurrection. And if she's going to go strictly by the wording of the Constitution, he's not going to be on the ballot. Now, of course, Tom will, Clarence Thomas, he'll do anything. He'll just lay right down with his legs. Well, anyway, you know what? Just forget I said it.
A gift.
Oh man, you're getting into your fantasy time.
Shut up, redneck.
No, you're getting into fantasy time. You call me a redneck because you used to somewhere else. I know where you are now.
So let me ask
Shut up, redneck.
You somewhere. I know who you are now.
Excuse me. Let me ask the constitutional conservative Keith, based on what Todd just said, based on the Supreme Court just using the constitutional language as it is, the wording. Would that mean he'd be off of the ballot and he could not get votes for the Electoral College?
Well, let's see what the wording actually says. Section 3, it talks about no person shall hold office, civil or military, it says under the United States, or any state who have previously taken an oath. And it says, nor shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. First of all, he has never been convicted, never been tried for insurrection. Everyone has
never been. He's never even been accused of insurrection.
Shut
never
up,
been
redneck.
He's only
Shut up, dumbass.
Never been tried. I don't see any trial with a jury of his peers. There have never been all this time, and that is something that people on this show
can't be an insurrection if he hasn't been proved to be an insurrectionist. Or is everybody on this show retarded?
Shut up, redneck.
Is everybody on this show retarded?
I think it's very offensive. Stacey, you need to check that man that calls people redneck. That's like using the N-word.
No, I don't take it. I just call him a dumbass every time he says it. I don't take offense to it. He's just stupid. I'll be as stupid as him. I'll give him back all the stupid he gives me.
Excuse me. Thank you, Keith. Aguna, based on what Keith just said, do you think that's correct? And since former President Trump has not been found guilty of insurrection in a court of law, how can they hold him responsible for that and take his name off of the ballot in Colorado and Maine?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been impeached twice, and he was impeached for insurrection. He was impeached.
He was not. I'll correct you. You're wrong.
He wasn't.
Let him say his point.
He was impeached. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Keith is saying, because again, Keith is talking as if it's like a civil or criminal court. He was impeached by the legislative branch. Now they didn't, again, twice. One because of the whole Russian thing or whatever, but the other
which was
time
found out to be
was
wrong.
because of the insurrection. Now,
Not the insurrection. It was a phone call. It was a phone call.
At the end of the day, he was impeached. Okay, that's a fact. All right. Now they're going to appeal this to the Supreme Court. The quintessential issue here is whether or not a state. Again, we talk about states' rights. We remember we had a debate on this show about having voter ID and having a voter ID in order to vote. Now is it within the state's purview to be able to adjudicate the Constitution at the state level and say whether or not a candidate should be on the ballot? Now, again, it doesn't matter what they rule, because at the end of the day, it's about money and elevating the issue. The Biden administration has already said this is about democracy. So if the court comes out and upholds the decision, or if they go against the decision, that's just going to be another talking point as we go into this election. So if the Supreme Court comes up and says, okay, he needs to be on the ballot, now already the Democrats can coalesce around that. The Republicans are going to be like, oh, see what we told you. At the end of the day, this is about raising money and elevating the issue going into 2024.
No, it's not. It's about the left trying to keep their opponent off the ballot.
Under a rock.
Yo, are you serious?
It's about raising.
They're trying to.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Adrena. You have to stop. You have to stop.
Okay.
now,
I'm
Adrena.
sorry.
Thank you.
I just
All right.
sometimes when
Steven.
people don't know what they're talking about, it just kind of irritates me because they think they know and they don't.
I
But at the end
know.
of the day,
I know what I'm talking about.
saying before the Yahoo interrupts.
No, you're wrong.
What I'm
You're
talking
just a
about
liar.
is they're raising money on this issue, both sides. So no matter
Okay,
what the
thank you,
Supreme Court
Adrena.
does, they're going to be able to make money and make this a ballot box issue in the fall.
Okay. Thank you, Adrena. Steven. Now
The
tell
last time,
Steven,
the they tried to keep somebody off the ballot was who? Abraham Lincoln. That was the last time they tried to do something like this. The left is desperate right now. They can't have Donald Trump be president because he's going to tear them all to pieces because they're all crooked. And for some reason, Aguna's on their side. And maybe Aguna, you'll go down with them. When they get tried for treason, maybe you'll go down with them because they are treasonous. The people who are running this country right now are treasonous. And they need to go down. And for some reason, you support them. I don't know why. I don't know why you do, but you're going to go down with them. Because everything that's going on with us, everything that Georgia, this is a war right now in this country that should never been. Y'all have declared war on us, the good people, the Christians, the people who care about people. Y'all are the bad people, not us. Y'all are the bad people. We're trying to make things good for everybody, not y'all. Y'all are the antithesis of anything that's good in this world. That's what's happening. That's what happened in this world. Y'all are the DOJ, CIA, FBI, all of that's being used against us. My brothers and sisters are in prison for things they never did wrong because we're not living in a real country right now. We're living in a third world country. Our borders have been invaded. You cry right now because you're part of the system that makes money on it, Aguna. You're the whore. You're the whore that makes the money on it. And you know what? Eventually, that's going to bite you in your ass. Maybe not on this earth, but maybe somewhere else. But all you people that are in support of the death of this country and everything that's good and all the good people, y'all are the ones who are going to suffer, not us. Y'all are going to suffer. I know you think you're a king. You ain't a king. You're a little boy in a man's world. You ain't no king. Any man that puts king on their shirt don't know who the hell they are. You ain't no king. Ain't no kings in Africa. Ain't no kings nowhere. Ain't no kings in America. We got away from kings. Only king is Jesus Christ. And baby fat, you ain't Jesus Christ. Baby fat, you ain't Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Steven.
I know you think you're on top of the world, but you're on the bottom, son.
Okay, Broseph, we're running out of time. Our next subject will be our roundtable. Broseph, please, really quickly. Your comments on the Trump Supreme Court ruling.
There's nothing to be said. These cases were brought forward by Republicans. It was not brought forward by Democrats. So I think basically we're basically looking at the GOP saying this is a winnable election, and this carnival barker may be the cause of us losing. And I think some of the money in the GOP has decided that they're off Trump, and that's why something like this would get bankrolled. Because you know how long it would take lawyers to go through state law to try to figure out a way to say someone is exempt from being on the ballot? Because ultimately, if any one of these is successful and you just lose those electoral points before the election starts, it's over. Like, you lost. You can't win an election by giving away electoral points. So we'll have to see how this goes.
And again, if you're in Democratic states and they say he's off the ballot, those are states he wasn't going to win anyway. This is all smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, like I said, it's a campaign. Before Stephen went on that nonsensical
You
rant,
can't take somebody potentially off the ballot. The only reason you do it is because you don't think you can win. You don't remove him.
The king has spoken.
You don't remove him from the ballot.
Stop, Aguna.
You're full of crap.
Stop, Aguna. Stop.
This is not that you worried about democracy. That's not democracy. You're full of crap.
Okay, Stephen, you got to stop. Aguna,
No,
stop.
you can't take him off the ballot.
Stephen, stop. Aguna, stop.
Donald Trump is leading everybody. You're scared to death. You're scared to death because you're going to lose your ass, Aguna, and I want to see it when it happens. I want to see your ass hit the ground when you lose it.
I declare you trash.
You're going to lose your ass. That's why.
I knight you, El Trash Keeper.
You want the end of this country. You are so greedy. You're such a greedy person. You don't care about your country.
Stacey,
this country that made you.
Why does the Royal Trash Keeper keep speaking?
Okay, if you look at the screen, this is our
Why don't you show your face, coward?
A blast nearly killed 100. Oh, that's not the one I want to do. I'm sorry.
Look, you're
that
going
is
to lose
one
your
that
job
happened.
as a Royal Trash Keeper.
Show your face, man.
But the Israeli drone kills Hamas deputy leader in Beirut, Lebanese. Palestinian sources say. This is our roundtable. Someone wants to talk. Let's start with Keith, then Stephen, then Broseph, Aguna, and Cousin Todd about Israeli drone continuing to
Your
kill.
Majesty, I am the king.
I'll start with Keith, then Stephen, then Broseph, Aguna, and Cousin Todd about
$5.
Israeli drone killings. Hamas deputy leader in Beirut, Lebanese.
I say, yeah, that's only the beginning. They're gonna perish.
Look at that Christian calling for
Israel,
killing.
They are no match for Israel. They will perish. Israel will take them out, and I'll be glad to see that, because the Lord is on our side. The Lord is on the side of Israel, and Israel will stand. They'll stand strong, says the Lord. That's what the Lord's word says. He will stand with
a Christian. This is a demon,
and they will go. That's right. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus.
All right. Thank you. Stephen.
Well, of course, we feel sorry and really bad for the people in Gaza Strip, feel bad for people in Israel in general, feel bad for everybody, wanted everything to stop. Nobody wants this, but you have to do what you have to do. And why are all the leaders for Hamas, why aren't they there in Hamas leading the way? You know where they are? They're all in different countries hiding out and eating like the best steak and seafood, surf and turf every day. That's where these leaders are. And these poor people that are holding the guns and having to shoot, and they think they're doing something because their leaders want them. Leaders are not 5,000 miles away, 12,000 miles, wherever far they are away. The leaders are there to lead the way.
Like what Trump did at the insurrection, huh?
There was no insurrection. There was no insurrection. For you to say it's an insurrection or to think it's an insurrection shows how stupid you are. It was not an insurrection. It was not.
It was.
It wasn't. You're the same people that told me the shot would stop people from spreading COVID. You're the same person that said the shot would keep other people from getting COVID. That was a lie. Everything y'all say is a lie.
And Dr. Fauci.
And you still, so for some reason, I don't know how you do it. You made some deal with the devil, but all these lies you've told for all these years, you don't seem to have a problem with it. You laugh like little schoolgirls, but you have to know that your souls are just ripped to pieces because all you do is lie. You have to know you're lying. There's no way you're this stupid. You're intelligent people. We have intelligent conversations, but all you do is lie. So maybe your religion tells you just a lie. I don't know. Hey, more power to you.
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
Thank you,
Stephen?
Stephen.
The people that I'm
Broseph,
talking to right now on the show
Broseph,
that have
please.
lied for
All
years
over the place.
Broseph,
and have been
Broseph.
proven to be liars.
Well, if you're talking to the king,
Okay.
you
Don't
have
do
to say
drugs,
your height.
children. Don't do
Broseph,
drugs,
go
children.
ahead, Broseph.
Crystal
Oh,
meth
Thank
is
I'm
you.
bad
talking
for you.
to the person.
Go
Crystal
ahead,
meth is
Broseph.
bad for you. Yeah, I mean, it's ongoing genocide. It should be stopped. It should be a ceasefire. We should have a one-state solution that is peaceful, where everybody can live with rights as human beings as they should. And all of this nonsense these warmongers are beating the drums for, and then talking about Jesus in the same sentence, lets you know the state of their own Christianity. But it is what it is. But yeah, this is a sad situation, man, and it's only getting worse. And the worst part about this is, though, social media has involved the world in a way that it never has to this dynamic. Usually they can get away with doing whatever they want to. We can go back to 2013. They had a March of Peaceful Return where they decided they would walk up to the fence and say, hey, we don't want any violence. We just want peace. We want this to stop. You know what the answer was from Israel? They used snipers to shoot them down, standing in the middle of a field holding kites and asking for peace. So
Bull crap.
that has
Bull
continued.
crap.
No, redneck, you
Bull
don't know anything.
crap. I don't
Redneck, you don't
believe
know
you for a
anything.
minute. I
Why
don't
would I
believe
care
you.
what you believe? You're a redneck. You don't know anything. So anyway, this is a terrible, terrible, tragic thing for the world.
Bullshit.
But through social media and the video,
Bullshit.
the rest of the world actually sees what's going on in a way that they never have. And public relations wise, Israel has never taken a hit like they have during this war. Joe Biden is feeling the pressure in this polling because young people have told him if he's going to continue this and funding this, they will not vote for him. So yeah, the world is waking up and changing. They see this for what it actually is.
You have one group of
Genocide.
people who want another group of people gone.
Hey,
and it's
redneck,
not Israel does
redneck,
not want
redneck. It's not your
Palestinians
turn.
gone. You're
It's
full
not
of
your turn,
crap.
redneck. It's not your
You're
turn,
full of
redneck.
crap, dumbass.
It's not your turn, redneck.
I'd rather be a redneck than a dumbass.
Man,
I called you a redneck.
Aguna, thank you.
Cool.
Aguna.
I'm happy to be a redneck, dumbass.
No, stop.
Continue to call you.
Language. Jesus. What would Jesus do in this situation?
He wouldn't be with Keith and Stephen, that's for damn sure.
My gosh, okay.
Oh, they're great.
He would condemn you all.
Yeah, because you can speak for God.
Aguna.
Anyway, so at the end of the day, this is going to be
Based
interesting.
on God's word, yeah.
Stop. That's enough. Okay. We laughed at you.
Based
enough.
on God's word, he would condemn you.
Okay. At the end of the day, again, he's not going to let
At the end of the day, he would condemn you.
He's triggered.
Shut up,
He's triggered.
They did already.
All right. So you saw the drone strike, but this is going to set a precedent. Again, we're trying to de-escalate, right? So the more, even, you hear Keith talking about he's going to destroy Gaza and do all these things, that's just going to elevate the Palestinians' issue, and it's going to demonize Israel even more. That's why Joe Biden is trying to step in and say, hey, slow down. We already know that you can obliterate the Gaza Strip. Show some restraint. Let's get to a solution. Let's be the adults in the room and show some restraint. Because as long as you're going in there and you're doing these drone strikes and you're doing these things and people are suffering, it's a humanitarian crisis, it's going to make Israel look like the bad guys, and it looks like the non-negotiators. I know you're going to say that they were provoked. There are things that have happened there that no one wants, right? But there's a lot of loss of life. I'm going to use your favorite president's words, on both sides.
You say on
And
both
so
sides.
as the arbitrator of peace, the U.S. should come in there and show some leadership. So at the end of the day,
instead,
you
we
have
just
people
gave
on the
a new-
show
a new
who have an
weapon
agenda.
sales
So
to
they're
them
not
the
going to
other
see
day,
any
so.
good out of conversation. They're going to try to yell over you. They're going to call you names. They're going to use curse words on a show because they don't have any other expanded vocabulary. And then when we're actually coming on here and talking sensibly, they run away because you have these people in an echo chamber. It just goes to show you how anti-intellectual and anti-data, anti-knowledge people really are. And so that's the bigger problem in this country. At the end of the day, we can't come in there and talk sensibly about peace. What can we really do? And what's your agenda?
Thank you.
That's what you get from these fake Christians.
Cousin Todd.
Fake Christians. You're a piece of shit, man.
Oh,
You're
no.
a fake Christian.
You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit, Nas.
You're a fake
Hey,
Christian
hey,
and a red
Steven.
face
No, if
redneck.
he's gonna say I'm a fake Christian, then I'm gonna tell him
Stephen,
Redneck got muted.
what do we say about speaking like that on the
if
show?
a man tells me I'm a fake Christian, I'm gonna tell him he's a piece of shit.
What did I
Christian, you
say
red-faced
about
moron.
using curse
Stay
words on the show?
Relax, man.
Tell him not to call me
He's
that.
not cursing at
man.
you.
Tell him not to call
He's
me a
not
fake
cursing
Christian.
at
How about
you.
that?
He's not
You ain't
Tell
cursing
him
so
at
not to
you.
call me a
bad.
fake Christian.
He's not cursing at you.
Tell him not to call me a fake Christian. I don't care. Words are
Can't tell him
words.
not
Hey,
to do
look,
anything. Words are
you
words.
said there
We
were no
don't
kings
curse
in
on this
Africa.
show.
No, tell him to
You
stop.
know that for
I'll
years.
stop using a bad word every time he stops
You
calling me a
know.
name.
It's not a
That's how it's been
negotiation.
all night.
No.
That's why I called him.
It's not a
No.
negotiation.
When he
I'm
called
not
me a
having it.
redneck, I called him a dumbass. When he said I'm a fake Christian,
Christians are really sensitive too.
Do Christians curse?
Stephen.
yes, we
Do.
yes we did.
Well,
You
what
can
was
curse,
that?
but not on this show. You can curse wherever you want, but not on the show. You know we don't use that
He doesn't
language.
realize
Hey,
how
but
bad he
You know
is.
that.
can they control your animal?
Well,
You're
you only
acting like an
animal here,
animal.
you
Cousin
bastard.
Control
Todd.
your animal.
Cousin Todd. Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Okay.
I'm not calling him names. I'm responding to what he's called.
No,
Steven,
you
See,
called
red
me
face
names.
moron. Shut up.
You've called me names, Stephen, on this show.
I called you
So,
sweet.
what is wrong with this dude?
I don't know.
It's,
He's high.
it's a meth.
So,
The meth lab in the
Todd,
basement.
go ahead. We're out of
Todd,
time.
what did
I'm
I
going to
call
cut it
you?
off.
The meth
What did I
lab
call
in
Cut
the
it
you,
off.
Todd?
basement.
Stephen, you
dumb,
stop.
dumb. You call me dumb, but that's all right.
Look at him.
Okay, so we're talking about Israel, and it's amazing to
Yes.
me how Christians,
So-called.
okay, want war, and they don't feel like there can be a solution without war. Now, I don't know where you get that from, because thou shalt not kill. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
I'm
Uh,
a man.
and what about finding a solution, 2-state, 1-state, just finding a solution where these people who are not going anywhere can live in harmony. You can't have one side that's going to demolish the Gaza Strip. You can't. The world is not tolerating this well. And so the world is turning against the Jews. You see, don't you, looking at it on a global scale, people are not backing the Jews in this. They look like they're bullying, because when children are being killed, it's not so pretty. You don't see a bunch of men getting killed. You see women and children. And all they say is, sorry, war is ugly. This is Keith and Stephen I'm talking about. So it's just, we've got to find a better way. And Benjamin Netanyahu, it's not going to end well for him. If this keeps going, it's not going to end well for him.
Collective punishment, one of the standards for genocide. That's what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Israel shall prevail. God is with Israel.
They hide behind the children and the women because they're cowards.
Right, they're hiding behind them, and you're.
I know. Just think about the logic. Stacy, you're muted.
Yeah, the logic.
Yeah, think about the
Okay,
logic.
thank you
there.
so much. Thank you for telling me I'm muted, bro. So if you guys aren't going to talk over me when I'm doing the outro, we're leaving. I'm doing the outro. Do not talk over me.
I didn't hear you.
To our first responders, that's right. It's not your fault. I was on mute. I didn't realize that. To our first responders in our communities, you make our lives livable. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do in sacrificing your lives so that we are free to say whatever we choose on the show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican,
Your Royal Highness.
Royal Anus.
Stephen,
Yeah.
the independent thinker,
The before and after picture.
I'm a man.
Keith,
You wish you were.
constitutional conservative.
Everything Steven says is correct.
I ain't lied yet.
Thank you for joining us, Broseph. We truly appreciate your perspective.
The redneck killer.
Listen to me, man.
And my cousin Todd.
Crazy.
You see,
I'm Stacey Johnson. Let's keep this conversation going on X, Stephanie Stallworth, the Flow Television Network, Instagram, TikTok, and who else did I live? Twitch. We'll see you next week, I hope. I don't know. I mean, the way these people go on and on. Good
What a
night.
way to start the new year. A Steven meltdown in 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm a man. I'm not a redneck. I'm a man. You ain't no king. You ain't so bad. Everyone on the phone. Man,
Yeah, what's price crystal meth in your area?
Yeah, with well, he has
I
one
didn't
in
say
his
a name.
basement. He has one down in his
say a
basement.
name.
There's a leak or something happening in his basement.
I just asked the question.
This is even you need to chill, man. This is a 2024. All right.
2024. Happy New Year, everyone. Good night.
I mean, you gotta look all the flames of all the evil that comes out of y'all's mouth, man. It burns my feet, bro.
What is wrong
No,
with
that's
you?
the crystal meth. That's what that is.
That's the
Drugs
meth
have
lab in the
drawbacks.
basement that's burning your feet. All right.
All right. Good night.
Stuff.
Good night.
For y'all to